everyone. Welcome back to the Starting Thoughts podcast. I hope you guys are doing great. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about the Summer I Turned Pretty finale, the series The Girlfriend, and what happened in the trailer of the next season of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. So get yourself some tea, some water, some hot chocolate, some coffee, and let's get into it. So, for those of you who have never seen The Summer I Turned Pretty, it's about a girl, Belly, and her family. They head to the Fisher's Beach house in Cousins. Every summer is the same until Belly turns 16. Relationships will be tested, painful truth will be revealed, and Belly will be forever changed. It's a summer of first love, first heartbreak, and growing up. It's this summer she turns pretty. And basically, she falls in love with both brothers. So it's the Vampire Diaries without the vampires, without the werewolves, without the witches. Just plain human beings like Matt. And she has to choose one of the brothers. That pretty much sums it up. Okay, what a finale that was, right? I can't believe that this was the last episode of season 3 of The Summer I Turned Pretty and the final episode of the series overall. Like, how long has it been? Probably like 4 years that we meet up with Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah every summer. And now it's over just like that. That's crazy, actually. It's crazy that in 2 years we will not be getting a new season of The Summer I Turned Pretty and that we won't be at Cousins for the summer. Wow. I wanted to talk about that last episode because so many things happened and I really enjoyed this season. Some episodes I enjoyed more than others, of course. Like the last 2 episodes, so episode 9 and 10, were a little bit meh. You know what I mean? Because not a lot of things were happening. And I feel like things were getting slower, you know? And also, like, because for episode 8, we had the infamous episode of Belly and Jeremiah's wedding and the wedding not happening and Conrad confessing his love to Belly. And the episode before that, we had Conrad finding out about Jeremiah cheating on Belly. So it's like all of these things happened in like episode 7 and 8. And then episode 9 felt really slow because not much was happening. Like, you know, the only big thing that happened was Belly's backpack being stolen and her chasing it across Paris. Like, that was the big thing. And then it was her adjusting to her life in Paris and not going back to America, spending Christmas on her own with friends. So yeah, there wasn't a lot happening in those 2 episodes. But I was telling myself maybe that's because, you know, episode 11 is going to be packed. You know, a lot of things are going to be unfolding in that episode. And yes, some things unfolded, but it wasn't a lot, I feel like, you know? So we're going to talk about it. So the episode starts with Conrad arriving in front of Belly's magnificent apartment that probably costs more than 3,000 euros a month. He's hesitating a lot. You can see a lot of hesitation on his face. And all of a sudden, Belly is with Benito on a Vespa. And in that moment, we are like, oh my God, he is going to see that she's moved on and she's with someone else. Turns out she's not. Benito and Belly had broken up during the little time lapse that we didn't see. I was so happy. I was like, during the previous episode, I was like, girl, we don't have time for this. We do not have any time for this. Do you think about Conrad a little bit? No, she was clearly not, but also a little bit, but not as much as I would have liked, and not enough to stop her from going out with Benito. But, anyways, they see each other and it's really awkward. She's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And Conrad's like, "Oh, I have a conference in Brussels and I just thought that I would arrive a day early and visit you." And she takes his bag, but she doesn't even invite him upstairs. What is wrong with you, Belly? She was so in shock. But still, girl, get your shit together. Then we move on to this scene with Jeremiah and Denise. And Denise revealing to Jeremiah that her and Steven are moving to San Francisco. Guess who overheard? Yes, you got it right. Taylor, his girlfriend, aka Bally's best friend. That whole thing around them moving and Taylor finding out was hilarious. How they when they get to Cousins and she's talking to Steven and she's like, "Oh, I thought we should really paint the walls of our new apartment, like make it more cozy and get a cat." And you can see that Steven is like, Okay, like, but still doesn't tell her. And then she starts to get really pissed off. It's so funny. I love the dynamic of their relationship. So funny. Moving on, Conrad and Bally visiting Paris. That was so romantic. Specifically, the scene that happens in the Louvre where she is admiring the artwork, but he's just looking at her. In a room full of paintings and art, the only thing he's looking at is Bally. And that was just so sweet. I loved it. So then Bally invites him to her party because she had said earlier when she saw him in front of her apartment that she had plans at 8, but she wasn't going to invite him. She invites him after the day they spend together because she remembers how great Conrad is, right? She invites Conrad up to her apartment. Guess what Conrad sees? Photos of Benito and Belly. I felt bad immediately because at that point we didn't know that Benito and Belly were broken up. We thought they were a couple, but it's only revealed at the dinner party. So it's like, "Oh, Conrad, I'm so sorry. I promise you she still thinks about you. She hasn't forgotten about you." And then he offers to help her putting on her bracelet. That proximity. Ugh, gosh. I just wanted to push them together, like, get together already. And then they go to the dinner party, and throughout the whole dinner party, Conrad kind of looked jealous, right? Like he wasn't. No, yeah, he was definitely jealous because Bally said to Benito that he was still gonna stay the boy who taught her how to ride a Vespa. And then Conrad responded with, "Well, I taught you how to ride a bike. What's up? Like, come on, don't forget about me." That was sweet, but I felt so awkward for Conrad because he was in a room full of French people and all this conversation was happening around him about him, but he wasn't understanding shit. That was a little bit funny though. And the tension between them when she was smoking. Girl, tell him you want him already. Oh my God. Well, that's one thing Jeremiah didn't hold up on doing when he kissed Denise in the kitchen at Cousins. I have to say that I saw this coming. I don't know if their relationship is going to work. It was just a kiss. We saw a kiss. That was it. Hopefully he doesn't cheat on her. But yeah, that happened. I saw that coming. But I think I didn't really want to believe that it was going to happen. But it did. The gift that Conrad gave to Belly, sand from the beach house in Cousins, that is the sweetest and most thoughtful thing that someone has ever done. that he has ever done. No, actually, he's done a lot of thoughtful things compared to his brother, but like that was so sweet. And the fact that he told her that it's so she could have a little bit of home with her, ugh, my heart melted. And I was like, Belly, what the heck are you waiting for? Jump on him already. Kiss him already. Come on. And then she said, I have one more spot to show you. Oh my god. The spot. At that moment, oh my god, it felt like we had been waiting for this for 10 years and it finally unfolded in front of our eyes. Belly and Conrad kissing again. And on a dock that is next to Notre Dame. Crazy romantic. And when I was watching the episode, that spot is actually a spot where my boyfriend and I went on our first date, and that's where we ended it. Like that's the last spot we visited before he took me home. And I was looking at the screen in total disbelief. I was like, no way, they're gonna get back together there in that spot. We weren't exactly in the same spot as them. Like we were a little more on the left, on the sides, but crazy, 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 crazy. When I saw the thing, I was like, hold on. Hold on a second. I know I know where this is. I've been there. Anyways, I thought I'd share it because that was very funny when I watched the episode. So they end up doing the deed, you know. A poor taxi driver. Oh my god. I can't believe they couldn't hold it until they got into her apartment complex, at least. Not in the apartment itself, but like how they kissed on the stairs and stuff. Yeah, that was the practical and anxieties ahead of me that thought maybe you should have been a little more respectful to the taxi driver. But again, there was no taxi driver because this is a movie and this is fake. And the only person that was in the car with them was the cameraman. So, whatever. Oh my God, finally, that moment felt so good to see finally it's happening. Crazy. Like we had been waiting the whole season for this to happen. 11 episodes, 11 weeks, and even a little more than that, plus 2 years. That's how long we've been waiting to see this unfold in this story. And then we get to that part where Belly starts to act crazy again, where she comes back from the bathroom and goes, Conrad, what do you think is happening here? I remember. So she said this. What do you think is happening here? And I remember I grabbed the TV remote and I paused and I looked at how much time was left in the episode. 12 minutes. Exactly 12 minutes. Oh boy, I was freaking out. I was freaking out so bad because if there's one thing I did not want Belly to choose herself, because I had seen a lot of TikToks and tweets about maybe that they were gonna pull like a kissing booth ending where Ella chooses herself and not Jacob Elordi. What the hell? So yeah, a lot of people were like, "Oh, can you imagine if they pulled this move and Belly just ends up with herself?" Okay, great. Great modern idea. I love it. Like a boss bitch lady, go girl, like a girl that doesn't need a man in her life. I love that for you. This is far from being the purpose of this series. And the author had said that the ending of the book and the ending of the series were totally different. So that's why people got off the rails. But thankfully, that did not happen because she ended up choosing someone. And that someone is Connie Baby. I love it. I will never get tired of saying that Conrad and Belly are endgame. I will never get tired of it. Okay? But oh my God, that conversation was tough. It was tough to witness. Tough to witness for so many reasons. And the main one being that there was only 12 minutes left and that she was letting Conrad slip out of her hands. And that moment where she finally wakes up and says, "My name is Belly. I'm a girl with brown eyes and brown hair. And I've always loved Conrad. I'm always going to choose Conrad." Well, thank God. Now get the fuck out of your apartment and run after him. They're like, do something. Okay, great. You realized that. Good for you. Now go run for him. And that moment was so infuriating. But when she finally found him on the train, so good. That was so good. Is this he taken? Oh my God. So good. So good. I am so happy that they ended up together. I cried because finally, you know, the tension and the suspense and her being a total wreck and not realizing shit was so fucking frustrating. And when she finally realized it, it was like, oh my God, she came to her senses. Thank you. And then them going back to cousins and the song that they chose for that. Also, the song, like the song that was playing when Belly was running to Conrad out of the woods, that gave me chills. So much chills. Because it was the bridge. "Remember when you hit the brakes too soon? 20 stitches in a hospital room." And it literally took me back to Paris Night 2 of the Eras Tour when Taylor mashed up "Is It Over Now" with the Out of the Woods bridge. I literally was back there for 30 seconds and I loved it. Might also be a reason why I was teary eyed. Ah, God. The song that they chose when both Belly and Conrad were in the car going back to cousins, like that song screamed ending for me. And that also made me tear up. And yeah, but guess what? This is not the end. A movie has been announced. A movie has been announced, people. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I'm so happy because, you know, with this ending and this song, it all felt like an ending, you know, like it all felt like it was the end. But no, it's not. So, see you guys in 2 years after the movie is filmed and edited and put out. I'm so excited. I just hope that Jenny Han, you better not fuck up Belly and Conrad's relationship. They still better be ending together, or else I'm gonna have to riot, and I don't want to get to that point. Thank you. Next, we have The Girlfriend. It's a new TV show on Prime Video. I had seen a trailer not so long ago, probably mid August, before it came out. And it's with Olivia Cook and Robin Wright. So the show is about Laura has it all: a glittering career, a loving husband, and her prized son, Daniel. But her perfect life unravels when Daniel brings home Cherry, a girlfriend who changes everything. Laura's convinced Cherry is hiding something. Is she a manipulative social climber, or is Laura just paranoid? The truth is a matter of perspective. So this show, really good. Like, it's this very juicy psychological thriller. If you like psychological thrillers, you're in for the best of rides. This is a great show. I gave it 4.5 stars out of 5. I will explain later why I took 0.5 out of my score, because otherwise I would have given it 5 stars immediately. So the whole show is a double perspective between Laura the mom and Cherry the girlfriend. You really jump between the two throughout every episodes. And you can clearly see that based on the perspective, some of the scenes are played out differently. Spoiler alert. For example, when Cherry calls Daniel when she's outside tanning, he comes out on the balcony, he watches her, and she touches herself. And sucks for him, but his mom came in the room, joined him on the balcony, and was about to give him a hug when she realized what was happening. So both of them shocked. And in Cherry's perspective, she throws the phone on her blanket. First, she was facing Daniel, that was on the balcony, and she turns her body, to the right, and she covers her face with her hands and is laughing. In Laura's perspective, Laura looks back out the balcony and sees Cherry laying on the tanning chair, having a smile on her face, and she looks like directly at her. And that happens mostly every time they change perspective, because some of the scenes are played again, but from different perspectives. And so it's played out in the way that the character was seeing what was happening. I loved that. I love these changes between the two point of views. To answer the question that was at the end of the synopsis, like, is Laura paranoid or is Cherry a manipulative social climber? I don't really know how to answer that question truthfully, because there is so much layer to these two women that I can't fully tell you that Laura is not paranoid or is paranoid. And I can't either tell you that Cherry is not a manipulative social climber or if she is. This is how you know it's so good. It's because even though you watched the whole thing, you cannot say which one is crazier. That layered narrative unfolds so beautifully. The build up was so intense, so much suspense, but also not too much. Not too much, just the right pinch of build up. Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like Laura was very protective of her family and specifically her son, Daniel. Spoiler alert, that can also be explained by the fact that she lost a child at a very young age and she's filling that spot that was meant for Daniel's little sister with Daniel. So she's 10 times more overprotective and overloving with Daniel. And that's what drew her to all those extremes. And that made her look as psychotic as Cherry is, because we have to admit, she is a little bit crazy. Passionate. She maybe a little bit of craziness in there, but she's mostly very passionate about what she wants in life. In quote, passionate, of course, because passionate, if you count it as maybe pushing your father at a very high height and almost killing him because he wasn't paying what he was due to his mom. I guess that's passionate, right? that can be passionate, a little bit. Just like how passionate she was to sabotage her ex's wedding cake and filled it with animal intestines, and when they cut the cake it literally exploded on the bride's dress. That's a passionate grudge right there. But I feel like both of them are sort of psychotic in a way that for Cherry, she doesn't know how to normally express her frustration and her anger. But also on the other side, Laura doesn't know how to be normally protective with her son. So both of these women have sharp edges, if I can put it that way. They're both very complex and they're both very determined, in one protecting her only son and the other determined to succeed in life and being in a relationship. Like, they both go to the extremes. Like, they don't know how to balance their emotions. Let's talk about Daniel for a bit. Daniel was so blind. And I think that's because his mom protected him so much that I think during his life, he hasn't learned how to protect himself from potentially bad people. Like anything negative that could be coming into Daniel's life, she would be putting an end to it because she could as a mom, but also she could as well because she's rich and her husband is rich. So I think Daniel never has learned to be careful around some people. And I don't know. This personality trait has to come from his mother being so protective of him. Like, you know how some mom in I'm talking about in the real world, they overprotective their son or daughter so much they stop any negativity or bad things from happening in their baby's life that they don't know anything bad. Like they only see the positive. Yeah, I don't think that this has to come from somewhere. And I feel like his mom being over protective of him might be the reason why he's like that and not seeing this manipulative side of Cherry or her lying, because he was also so in love with her that, love makes you blind, that he didn't realize shit at all. Like he wasn't seeing his mom in a bad way. Like even after, that was the craziest thing that happened in this TV show. Even when his mom lied to Cherry after he had an accident and was put in a coma at the hospital, she lied and said to Cherry that he had passed just so that Cherry was out of her son's life because she had a bad feeling towards her. And it's like, huh? Like from someone else's perspective, this is just the tip of the iceberg, like she went to that extent. And even a few maybe weeks or a little over a month later, he was still defending his mom. Like that wasn't something crazy to say to your girlfriend just because you don't like her and don't want her to be with your son. Like just saying that is crazy. And I think that's what drew Laura over the edge. Maybe if she hadn't done anything and had let Daniel come to his senses, maybe he would have seen something because Cherry would have made a mistake at one point. She would have. But by doing this, she gave everyone a reason to believe that Cherry was the nice one in the story and that she was the bad guy. When in reality, both of them are bad. Both of them are toxic. Yeah, that was one of the craziest moments in the show. Also, Cherry smashing a glass of champagne on her head. That was crazy too. But also, like at that moment, everything was not in favor of Laura. Everything was against her. And another crazy moment was definitely during the episode where Cherry thought that Daniel had passed, was when Laura hacked into her whatever account that looked like Instagram, and that it got Cherry fired. The message that she put on Instagram on the post, that was so funny. That was so funny, but that also got Cherry more determined. And it also gave Cherry more reasons to make everyone believe that Laura was a crazy bitch. Because she didn't only make Cherry believe that her son had passed, but she also got her fired from her job. Like, bitch was doing everything and anything to ruin her. But I feel like that gave Cherry so much more determination to keep Daniel. Because you know how most of the time when you forbid someone to do something, they will do the exact opposite, which is why I think Cherry's mom was not trying to shake some sense into her daughter, because she knew that the more that she tried to persuade her to not do this, to not be in this relationship, the more she would try. And that's exactly what Laura did. She tried to push Cherry away as much as possible. Cherry did the exact opposite. The one thing I also wanted to talk about is why I gave the show 4.5 out of 5 was because, spoiler alert again, just in case. At the end, Cherry and Laura end up fighting. Daniel comes between the two of them and ends up killing his own mom, drowning his own mom, because by keeping her away from Cherry, he was keeping her head underwater, so she ended up drowning. And after that, it says 6 months later, I believe. So you see that Cherry is pregnant, they got married. So quite literally, Cherry got everything that she wanted. But Moises led Daniel to Laura's phone where she had a recording of Cherry's own mom warning her against her own daughter, that if you get in her way, she'll literally do anything to get you out of the way, whether you like it or not. So I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't see how everything unfolded during those last 6 months. Well, not the whole 6 months. I mainly was disappointed that we didn't get to see how they called the police. Did they call the police? Did they just leave the body of his mom in the water and then Daniel's dad found her? Like, did they leave the scene? Like, how did they explain this to the police officers? I know that everything was against Laura and the authorities had seen that there was many problems with this woman. Not mental problems, but many problems like at her gallery, that she had fired someone for no reason, that she had, in quotes, smashed a glass of champagne in her daughter-in-law's head, that she had faked her son's death and got Cherry fired. So, like, everything was against her. So it would have made sense if she had ended up killing herself. But we don't know about any of that. So that's what I would have wanted to see, and like how they explain this to police officers. If they called them, how is Daniel not in prison? Because he technically killed his mom. He was a doctor, so he clearly chose not to do CPR on his mom when he realized what he had done. Like, I thought that he was going to panic and get her out of the water and then start doing CPR, but he did none of that. So I don't know if he chose to be free from her at one point because he was so tired of the situation and then was like, oh, well, let's be done with it. I'm just not going to save her. That's why I would have liked to see that unfold. But it's okay. It keeps you wondering. I don't think there's going to be a season 2. Do I want a season 2? Maybe not. I think it's just perfect as it is. Olivia Cooke was wonderful in this. I love that actress. I first saw her in Bates Motel. Loved it. Bates Motel is great, by the way. You should watch it. Robin Wright was, of course, wonderful. And I didn't know, but I just discovered that she was also directing. So wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. I'm going to watch it again with my boyfriend. So maybe I'll find a few things here and there that I hadn't seen the first time around. But yeah, I'm excited to watch it again. It was a really great show. And lastly, I wanted to talk about another show, but this time it's a reality TV show, and it's called The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And if you haven't heard of it, you've been living under a rock, because this is the last IT TV reality show, and they just put out the trailer for season 3, and I'm very excited to watch it. And Whitney looks fabulous in that trailer. Let's talk about this. She looks fab. Crazy. I never thought I'd say this about Whitney, because she's definitely not my favorite. The trailer starts with Jesse and Marciano. I think they wrote this drama, to be honest. We're not on Love Island. This is The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Mormon Wives. You know what I mean? But whatever. This drama is officially going to unfold. Taylor has some crazy news. What could this be? A new boyfriend? Or maybe is she going to announce in this season 3 that she's going to potentially be the new bachelorette? I don't know. Jesse is also crying in the trailer, which makes sense after what happened in the last episode of season 2 with the drama with Marciano, and that she had potentially cheated on her husband and had kissed and done other things with Marciano. But it could also be about Demi, because their friendship is going to end. We know it's going to end. This might be the ending of that relationship. We're probably going to see it unfold. It's probably going to be very dirty, And in this trailer, we don't see a lot of Jen. She hasn't been very present in season 2 because she was dealing with prenatal depression. So I hope we get to see more of Jen this time. So yeah, I'm very excited to see this season 3. It's coming November 13th, I believe. So we'll talk about it again in November. Well, that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.